Hello everyone and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Not such a fun one. On Monday, the last video I posted on Monday, I think I spent a little while talking about the dangers of United waiting around. I think that was the last part of it, is the dangers of United waiting around and continuing to work on a deal for Frankie de Jong. How, we started getting those reports from Liverpool about their interest in Darwin Nunez, and what could possibly happen if they continue to stall on these deals. And last night, I tried to write notes up for the videos that I'm doing every couple of days, and last night I wrote this whole thing about talking about this again, about the story with Liverpool, about Darwin Nunez, about this whole situation. And I was going to spend quite a while talking about that and kind of the frustration with all of it. And it turns out that was pretty well justified, considering then at 3 a.m. for me, 4 a.m. for me, around early morning, midday, in the UK, you get a full-on brief from the Liverpool side that they are potentially looking at breaking their transfer record to bring in Darwin Nunez, and that they might be looking at this. Last night, it's funny because on Sunday they're not going to pay over the odds and all of these things, and then last night, around you get the next day Portugal papers. There's one from Record stating that Liverpool had offered 100 million for Darwin Nunez, and I tweeted about that. And that's not true. They haven't offered 100 million euros for Darwin Nunez. They haven't, as of yet, done so. That is Portugal playing the market a bit, Benfica playing things up. They haven't made that offer. They haven't made a bid. But you get that story, and then you get all these stories in England. What do you think of it? Again, the problem with this has been the longer you wait, and the more potential anyone else gets involved, they can play spoiler. However, what does that mean? It means they can compete, or it means they can simply drive the price up, or there's many things that they can do. You can create bidding wars and open up the market to changes. If you've got a price and a deal on the table, that's not the same price and deal on the table you have 2 weeks later when another club says, hey, we're interested in your player. Of course, that's how the market works. Without release clauses, which is 130 million for Nunez, and nobody's paying that. Without a release clause being paid, any interest in the player is going to drive the price up. You're not operating in a vacuum where you're the only club. And that's true of every single target. There's no release clause for Urian Timber. There's no release clause for Frankie de Jong. There's no release clause for Darwin Nunez. There's no release clause there is a release clause for Pau Torres, but the price they're discussing is below that. They don't want to pay the release clause. But now other clubs are interested in talking. There are very few players that have release clauses in the range that United would want to pay, or any club would want to pay. So anytime you wait on a deal, this is likely what's going to happen. And that's what's happening now. Now, what is actually occurring here, we'll see. I'll talk about this in a moment, because I'm going to finish kind of ranting about this first, about what I think happens next on this. But this is the danger. This has been the danger and the fear if they continue to delay for de Jong. And you can see it. Look at the reports that have come out today. The first thing Lowry said is they opened talks for Darwin Nunez a while ago. They did. 2 months. They've been in talks with Mendes. 2 months. They met with his representative, his former representative, who still is representative, in March. 3 months. 2 months with Mendes. 2 months. April 11th. David Ornstein put out his column about this, that United were leading or in the head of the chase alongside Chelsea and PSG for Nunez at 80 million euros at the time, or 70 million euros. That was April 11th. And now it's a twist that Liverpool come in and maybe drive the price up or get him. No, they had 2 months to sort this out at the minimum. And it says that Benfica wanted an early window sale. Well, here we are. They want a sale now. They want a sale in the next week. They want a sale immediately. There's zero reason it shouldn't be done. There's none. There's no excuse for it at all. And it's very frustrating. On May 16th, Ornstein reported again that United were leading the chase, that Benfica were looking for replacements, or among the teams leading the chase. I want to be correct on that. Among the teams leading the chase, still naming Chelsea and PSG. Of course, since then, PSG Mbappe stayed. Chelsea still have a lot to deal with, and it looks like they're going to go for different targets. So if you eliminate the other parties, that would just leave United, May 16th. Well, May 16th is when Ten Hag came over, or started his United job, and they supposedly had all these meetings about recruitment and put this plan together. And you have to ask yourself, was the plan line up Timber, line up Nunez, where we've had reported talks in both circumstances, and then wait on all of them and go chase Frankie de Jong for the next 3 to 4 weeks and allow these deals to fall apart? It seems like, unfortunately, that was the plan, whether they predicted that or not. And it was reported by people close to Ten Hag, Simon Mullock from Mirror, who's been very, very good and accurate with everything Ten Hag, that he requested Timber and Nunez get done, and they're in talks with, and also de Jong, but that the fee was too high. So I'm trying to stick with staying here what was just reported, not my info, but was just reported. Lowry said we had talks a while ago. TalkSport said he was being pursued. And then put him on the back burner? You put him on the back burner on Friday to pursue talks with de Jong, and now Liverpool are in and looking to buy him. It's crazy. This is like foolish stuff. It's very frustrating. And then, of course, the stories today are no better on de Jong. So what good did that do? What has the last 3.5, 4 weeks done? He rejected us. May 11, when I said that on that video, and then that was confirmed. He said no in the first case. And they've spent all this time negotiating, talking to him, and trying to negotiate a fee with Barcelona, which is seemingly proving challenging too. There's no fee agreed. There's no bid submitted. Simon Stone says it's far away. The Times just came out saying there's nothing close for a deal being done on de Jong. So what good did all of that do? What good did all of that do, putting all these deals on the side, and why? Why do you have to put these deals on the side? Well, the answer is simple. They had £125 million that they could spend. Frankie de Jong prioritizing the midfield means they're holding up 70 to 80 million now in trying to figure out whether this deal will happen. That doesn't leave enough for your striker. Even if you only need 50, you see, it goes over budget. And and they're not going to move on Timber at all, unless this totally falls through, and it's being reiterated today, midfield and forward first. Well, you can't even buy your first choice forward because you're hung up on this de Jong thing, on the price. And it's foolish. I mean, nobody runs things this way. City don't run things this way. Madrid don't do things this way. Liverpool don't run this way. They don't need all the mess and the mirrors. I try to be very positive about all of this stuff. And I'm very confident, as it's been reported, is what I said is correct about them pursuing these multiple deals. But the problem becomes, once they pursue them and get them to that final stage, do they do it or not? Do they press ahead or not? And it's practically impossible to know that, simply because who's making the decisions. In 2020, there was the whole situation with Jadon Sancho, and it was not exactly like this, but not far off. They had lined up a deal, gotten advanced conversations, went ahead with it to pursue it, and then Dortmund gave them a deadline, and they just didn't do it. And then they spent all summer sitting on it. And it gets worse that same summer. We didn't have this information correct at the time at first. But a deal for Thiago, who went to Liverpool, was extremely close. And at some point, maybe I'll give some details on this now that it's been a couple of years, because there's a whole mess of details I've been sitting on for a long time. And we'll see. But essentially, all it comes down to is it wasn't approved at the top. The final decision-making stalled and waited and let Liverpool come in and take him for a deal that was there and ready to be done. And so, this is the problem with reporting on transfers, especially for United. It's the problem with any information on United is, and the funny thing is, there's only one person who really talked about that. I think, the Woodward's burner on Twitter, he was very correct on how close it was. Very, very, very correct. Nobody reported on it. And so you can't trust what comes out because of that. You can't. And you can have deals literally lined up and they'll say, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. And there is. But it doesn't mean they pull the trigger on it. They may wait, they may stall, and they may lose out. And this has happened before. It happened with Fabinho to Liverpool. It happened with Thiago to Liverpool. Liverpool do this. They sneak up and then they'll get a deal done fast. And, it's like even our targets, it took so long to nail down that it was De Jong, Timber, and Nunez, and then they still can't just move forward strongly and effectively with any, sense to just get a deal done. And it's so frustrating because you would hope that, and my hope was that this was a carryover from Woodward and from the past regime. They've been making changes, they've been doing things, they've been proactive on a lot of fronts, but when it comes to the final decision, it doesn't happen. They don't pull the trigger. Things don't move quick enough, and you have to think for a moment and say, who is that? It's a whole different team, a different manager, different everybody. Who is that? Who is making that decision? And the answer is rather obvious. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because it stops United from moving forward. And, I don't like to be negative on these videos or rant or anything in general, but it is frustrating. Now, where things are at now is not necessarily all bad. But it is, of course, in danger of moving very quickly. I mean, by the time this video comes out, it could be over, For example, right now, well, let's put it this way. So both of the briefs from both sides said they don't want to get into a bidding war or anything like that. So I waited for some information, and this morning, and then what I was given was that United wouldn't give up, that they plan to keep trying on it, that they plan to submit an offer, and that they still had a good chance in it. If they agree a deal with Benfica, whoever Benfica agree to sell with, if it's Liverpool or United, Darwin will go to that club. The relations with Mendes are good in both circumstances. He likes both clubs and would go to either one. So it's going to just simply come down to who presents the better offer to Benfica now. And let's see. And then there's a couple of factors. It's the better deal in terms of the overall fee, the better structure, and the better way of paying given Benfica's financial needs. Whichever deal they accept, it'll be over. It'll be done. And it very well could be Liverpool. Now, then United, a couple stories came out saying they wouldn't give up on it, that they were going to try, that they would fight Liverpool for it. We'll see. I just honestly don't think they have. I don't know. I don't know that they have the impetus to do it. I think, and so what's come out right this second as I'm recording this is simply that is that Liverpool, from Fabrizio, says they're offering 80 million, including add-ons, 80 million euros. So maybe it's 60 plus 20. It sounds like their Benfica are trying to get them to up that a bit. but I can't tell exactly. It's not necessarily clear yet what the offer is. And again, that could also depend on how the installments are, how much cash is up front, things like that. So now we'll find out very shortly if United compete or let it go and lose out and move on to other targets, which is possible, but again would be purely down to complete lack of I don't know what the word for it is. Impetus, speed, movement, whatever it may be. It's, they might have lost right now on this, and it's crazy. It says that United are in contact with Nunez's agent, so I guess we will find out in probably today the outcome of this deal. This is going to move fast. He's going to agree with Liverpool, or it's not, and it'll be done potentially again by the time this video is even uploaded. So it's frustrating. All really comes down to United not moving quick enough and not pressing forward, and Liverpool getting a jump out of the blue on this deal and moving ahead very, very quickly, which is what they do and why they've been successful in building their team over the last 5 years, 6 years now. So we'll see. And then, if I don't know what else I can give that's good. The Frankie de Jong stuff, they're still talking. They haven't agreed a fee. They haven't moved forward on it. Urian Timber, there's still a deal on the table, but will they press ahead with it? Probably not. They need to now relook at all the forward targets until, they may panic and get that purchase done to try to cover up for the loss of Nunez, but we will see if that is what they do. There are obviously other forward targets, but, as mentioned, and Nkunku's always been on the list, but it's going to be probably even more expensive than this deal. Leipzig don't want to sell, and Chelsea are going for him too. So, hey, maybe in a month we can talk again when Chelsea sign him and United haven't made a move. But that's just how it is. I think that they wanted to, as I mentioned, wait till after international break, but that's not what anybody else is doing. And that is the danger of waiting on these things. So, the rubber meets the road now as to whether they can actually compete. Whether they can actually compete with other clubs and whether they're actually going to move forward with doing so or not. They say that they are, but I guess we're about to find out. Obviously, this is it's a key position. De Jong, they're still working on, but as it's come out, it's not very close. Timber's still there, but the defense isn't the priority. Other names mentioned, if they miss out on this, would be potentially Nkunku. Will they then go for Anthony? I don't know. I don't know about that. I guess we'll see. That's also a very expensive deal for a player that's more unproven. Not a striker, obviously, but fits in on the right side. So I'm sure they'll do something if they don't come up with this. But now nobody knows what's going to happen here or who they will turn to or when. And if they continue to focus on De Jong and it drags out longer, there's definitely a danger of missing out on a lot of targets this window. Chelsea are going to be making moves. They're going to be looking for forwards, midfielders. Other names might be in the midfield. It might be someone like this has been rumored elsewhere, and I've heard some mentions of it. But the other Nunez from Sporting, the midfielder, would be a decent signing at a decent price that I believe is available, and United do have a legitimate interest in. So we'll see there. But Timber, De Jong, and Nunez are the main targets, and it's not looking good right now. It's looking pretty bad pretty quickly, and that's just been the danger of waiting all this time. So I'll try to put something out if I hear anything new in the next hour before it fully breaks, or if the deal is done with Liverpool, and we will have to see. But in the meantime, you can watch this video. I'm sorry, it's not very positive or inspiring, but I from everything that I know across this deal since February, it's nothing more than a mistake to miss out. That's all. It's nothing more than a mistake to miss out. Obviously, if Liverpool come in and do a huge 100 million bid, am I saying United should do 100 million? No, I don't think they should. I don't think that that's a smart decision right now either. But that didn't need to happen. Liverpool weren't even in contact 3 or 4 weeks ago, before this Champions League final, before Mane had more specifically asked to leave. They knew he was probably looking to go, I'm sure, earlier, but I think this became more urgent after the final and losing the Champions League and everything that's happened. So we will see. So again, thanks for watching. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.